Alright, so I've been using the Dell XPS 9300 for about 6 months now, and I kind of wanted to share my thoughts and opinions of it as really a warning for those who are considering purchasing it. Now, to give some context, I did a review earlier this year on the XPS 9300. I'll link it down in the description below for you to check out. Essentially, I really like things such as the design and the screen, but ultimately I had a couple of gripes to do with the price, the software bugs I was encountering, as well as the battery draining. And since then, honestly, nothing has really changed from that initial review. But firstly, let's start with the positives. So every day when I go to open this laptop, I am blown away by the build quality and the screen. This unibody chassis is not only stunning visually, but it holds up well to daily use. For example, in my previous video review against the MacBook, I remember I had bumped the XPS on the bed frame and it came out unscathed. Just yesterday, actually, I put the XPS into my bag and I forgot to zip up my bag, so it fell out onto the carpet and it still was perfectly fine. Now, this build quality doesn't just apply to the exterior. I have to say, after using countless laptop keyboards in the past, this Dell XPS model has nailed the texture of the keyboard. Of course, the actuation of the actual switches, they aren't mind-blowing by any means, but Dell have applied this kind of matte, textured, powder-like coating on top of their keyboard. As someone who cares a lot about the feel of the keys as well as the aesthetics of the laptop, and having seen kind of oil and gunk accumulate on previous devices many times in the past, this is a major positive. And not to mention, it makes it super comfortable to just type on. Now, the other thing I'll mention is that the near bezel-less screen, it's still the killer feature of this Ultra build. It's amazing to look at no matter what I'm doing, whether it's browsing the web, working on Word, photo editing, watching Netflix or YouTube. Honestly, it is the best screen you will find on a 13-inch laptop, and it's complemented by a really decent set of speakers. I used to lament having to use speakers on my old Ultrabooks because of how crappy they sounded. But this time, I find I care less about having to get up to find a decent pair of headphones to use whilst I'm enjoying content on this laptop. Instead, I can just enjoy the media right in front of me using the inbuilt speakers. But when it comes to the user experience, I think this is where I feel compelled to share my thoughts on the Dell with you guys. There are a number of things here, but the major one that I have run into more recently is that occasionally, when I put the Dell in my bag at the beginning of a day in sleep mode, I go to wake it up maybe a couple of hours later and it's completely drained of its battery life. What this does is it gives me constant anxiety of not knowing whether the Dell is going to be usable for the day, and this is incredibly frustrating. What's even more concerning is that when this happens, the laptop doesn't appear to just turn on in my bag, but instead it goes into this high-powered frenzy mode where the screen doesn't work, the keyboard and the trackpad are unresponsive, and the worst part, it overheats like crazy. I kid you not, but one time it got so hot that when I pulled it out from my bag, I had to use my jumper as an oven mitt just to take it out because it was so hot. Dell support has no clue how to fix this. My attempts to reach out to them on multiple times have just failed in terms of fixing the issue. My only option at the moment is a fresh install. However, I'm currently in the midst of a work project that is on this laptop and soon to be completed. So I prefer to do that after I finish that project itself. And it kind of brings me to another point, which is that when I've encountered issues on Dell's laptops in the past, they're often not solved by simple changes to the Windows setting or the registry, for example. Instead, oftentimes I get asked to reinstall Windows. And every time I get asked to do this by Dell support, it's like, I just can't do it. It's not a process that users should go through to ensure that their $2,000 plus laptop works as advertised. Now, that's one issue, but there are a number of other issues that I've noticed. Firstly, the screen. Often in HDR mode, the laptop has difficulties reaching full brightness in some of the windows compared to others. I've often needed to turn off this feature for me to use the Dell properly in, say, the outdoor environment, because otherwise it would rarely function at full brightness. Now, the second thing that I've noticed is that Bluetooth has constant issues after the Dell goes to sleep. Most often this manifests in me not being able to properly connect the laptop to Bluetooth audio, and I've been caught out a couple of times just before a Zoom meeting, for example, where I haven't been able to use my Bluetooth audio headsets because I've needed to restart the laptop in order for it to work again. Now, the third thing, and really frustratingly, the micro SD card slot and the USB-C ports sometimes will not work with external storage, which makes it incredibly frustrating for me to be able to use photo and video editing on this laptop, because sometimes those ports will just not work and I will need to, again, restart the laptop for them to, I don't know, reset or something. Fourthly, Windows Hello, either the fingerprint or the actual webcam, just is bound to stop working at some point. It will continue to not work until I restart the laptop once again. Now, finally, the other thing that I found is that every day I'm in constant fear of this laptop randomly freezing or having a blue screen of death. So the bottom line is, if you are someone who values their time and wants a device that just works out of the box, I would suggest steering right away from the Dell. Sure, it might look great, but if functionally it wastes your time and causes a lot of frustration in the user experience, then it's not worth it, especially if you are paying the ridiculous prices that Dell are peddling. If you're still keen to buy this laptop, my suggestion, try it out first, and if you run into any issues, just don't waste your time. Return it and get something more reliable. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you like this video? Have you had this happen to you before? Is there any other content you would like to see from me? I'll keep my eye out and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.